A lot of people have asked me what goes on in the studio, and it's kind of hard to just explain to them without showing some visual means for them to connect with, because the time spent at the studio is really a culmination of a lot of work that has been done beforehand. The royalties, the design, the coordination of the instrumentalists, all of that is just to prepare for the time spent at the studio. The recording is really the most fun part of the whole thing, I'd say, because all the work that you're doing, the music really comes to life in the studio. So I'd like to give everyone a chance just to kind of see us in the process of recording a song, to be able to step in to the studio and almost as if you were there. I'm really grateful to a lot of the people that are involved in this project that really invested in the message of the songs and were interested in communicating the message, not just putting out a perfect CD. Gary Emery and Glenn Christensen and the Dalrymples, everybody was focused on trying to portray the message of the song to the best of its communication, just to try to portray the whole idea of Reflections of Comfort, which is the title of the CD. There's nothing like going into the studio and recording, especially something that you arranged and orchestrated, and just hearing it come to life in the studio. That's really a moment that's hard to explain. One of the major blessings of producing a CD like this is the opportunity to work with such talented people, such like Gary Emery and Glenn Christensen and the Dalrymples. Gary Emery is since he's done so many CDs, he's heard a lot of music, so he has a very good idea of feeling. He has a lot of passion that he puts into what he does. When I've played songs and said, you know, what do you think? He's not very subtle in his criticism, but that's a good thing. That is a very good thing, because he wants to invest in what you're doing. He wants you to communicate the message of the song to the best of how you possibly can. He wants to see the CD honor and glorify the Lord, and that's why he even opened this whole studio, was to produce albums and Christian, godly, conservative Christian music that would be high quality and professional, as well as stay within the boundaries of good conservative Christian music. There's also the Dalrymples. Since they've been playing as a family for so many years, they can kind of judge and blend very well, because, I mean, they've had a lot of, they're such a close-knit family, and was also a blessing to me to see just how close they are in the recording studio and how they help each other out and they encourage each other. And it's such a neat thing to see four siblings like that are all using their talents for the same purpose, to honor and glorify the Lord. And they're all so incredibly talented. It was wonderful to work with them. They all gave suggestions, maybe slight changes in the music that would make it better, that would make it more fitting to the context of the whole song. They came very well prepared. They got all the recording done in one day, which is a good way to cut down recording time. They walked into the studio and they had, surprisingly few mistakes for this being one of their first times to record in a studio, a professional setting. They've performed a lot, which has really helped them in this process, because the more they performed, the more they've perfected their style, their technique, their intonation, everything like that. So you weren't working on the performance aspect with them, but which was a nice thing to just give them the music, know that they'll do a good job, and they did, and I'm very pleased with the final product. The experience of working with such talented people really has been a blessing to me, to see that, all of their goals, all of our goals are the same for this album, is to produce a comforting album, one that will encourage believers, one that will focus their eyes on Christ, and not just in times of difficulty, but just all around. We as Christians are very busy, and we don't take time to stop and meditate and think and just sit and focus on Christ, who He is and what He has done for us.
Enter His gates, 8 beats, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4.
The conductor that I had hired, Matthew Whitcomb, he came in for the 2 songs that I had 8 instrumentalists playing on, and he laid down what we call click tracks. Click tracks are where you have a steady metronome beat playing in your headphones while you're recording. Anyone who's recording, singers, violin players, pianists, all have to have earphones so they can be hearing what's feeding back to them, what they're sounding like. So we put the metronome click down so that they can have something to go by, something that's a little more steady. And then in the spots where there was perhaps more of a tempo change, Matthew would count out 1 and 2 and 3, just so that they would be able to hear something as well as see him as he conducts, in order to try to, so the whole thing wouldn't fall apart when you try to record the instrumentalists. It'd be pretty much together, and that helps speeding up the recording process as well. Every musician has a goal in mind when they produce music, and my goal with the first and second albums are to produce a CD that would encourage reflection on God, that would draw attention to Him, not to any of the artists in any way. I always pray that I'll keep that in mind, that this is to convey the message of the Lord Jesus Christ, and more specifically, the comfort that He brings to us so that we can bring comfort to others. We'd like to give you kind of a couple different footage clips of us actually recording a song. Now, you won't see all of us together in one room because the piano is recorded at a separate time, the string quartet's recorded at a separate time, the guitar and the harp are both recorded separately. It gives you more freedom in mixing to record everything separately. However, because of the Dalrymples playing so many years as a family, they've perfected their blend, so there's not going to be a lot of string quartet mixing needed to get the song to where we get the blend that we want and everything. So let's show you some behind-the-scenes video of the song As the Deer, which is it's the next to the last song on the CD, but let's go ahead and show you this behind-the-scenes footage live as we're recording it in the studio. Hope you enjoy.